On this adventure with Lukimyu, we head south to Townsville. Porty's dying.
We thought it was a field goal.
Can you just keep the boat nice and still?
I'll just go and hold the boat still.
Today didn't really go as planned.
Staring at the ceiling, another sleepless night, trying to find some meaning written in the starry sky.
Still blowing 25 to 30 knots from the south-southeast, and we intend to go south-southeast. So we thought we better take advantage of the fact that the rain has stopped, it's blue sky, and get out and do some inland stuff. See what there is to see around here.
A lot of granite. No idea how it's got its name, Jamie. Granite Gorge.
Staring at the ceiling, another sleepless night, trying to find some meaning written in the starry sky. Don't know if there's an X on the map where I'm supposed to be, or I'm floating without any gravity. Close my eyes tight, trying to get some clarity.
So these are dinosaur footprints. Small dinosaur though, I was expecting.
Whoa, whoa, it's enough to be alive. Whoa, whoa, when we stop to realize that every breath isn't guaranteed, but every breath is enough to be a reason to try.
A 15-minute drive from Granite Gorge is Mount Uncle Distillery. And we just couldn't go past trying one of their gin flights.
Today it's all gonna change. Today turn a whole new page. And if it all falls down, be strong, stand up. 'Cause you can cross any ocean, climb any mountain.
How's your, what do they call it? A
Margarita?
dirty outback margarita.
Very tasty actually.
Wow.
Just believe in what you've got. Everything is good.
This is Lake Eacham, volcanic crater apparently. And if you look down, water clarity is pretty good. We are on our way to Townsville, having seen the briefest of weather windows. Probably not quite going to be big enough. Anyway, sailing into the night, driving really. Cookies and pasta, it's a little chilly. Hopefully we'll be in Townsville tomorrow, which will be the start of our big bash south.
So what we didn't explain earlier was why are we going south in the middle of the cruising season in North Queensland? I'm glad you asked. We've decided that we've really missed the opportunity to get to Fiji in this season. So rather than trying to rush there and then basically having to sit out a large portion of the season in a marina, we would make our way south slowly and get down to a point in Australia where we could get across to New Zealand for summer, have summer in New Zealand, and then at the start of next cruising season, being around April, then we would head up to Fiji, where the winds obviously are going to be more appropriate for that sort of passage. You can't really go from Australia straight to Fiji.
You can. And we may crack the shits and just go New Caledonia, Fiji. It's possible.
It is possible. It's very difficult though to sort of make your way due east in a southeasterly. So that's our current thinking. Your thoughts on that?
That's our current thinking.
But as our good friend Megan says, all plans are written in the sand at low tide.
Jamie's off to bed, so I'm up for the first 4 hours. I am dressed and ready to go. See you at midnight.
So essentially what we're doing is we're passing our time through listening to audible books. We've tried reading, but you lose your night vision. We've tried listening to music, but it puts you off to sleep. So audible books are generally the best way to go. Otherwise, it's a very, very pleasant evening. A bit cold though. I mean, we're still in the tropics, and I reckon it's probably about 15 degrees centigrade, which is fresh in the wind. Well, it's just about 1 a.m. Time for me to do my usual 15-minute look around. I'll now have a bit of a look around, see if I can see anything. There's a ship in the distance that's just popped up behind us. The reason we do a lookout every 15 minutes is, standing at eye level, you can see about 3 nautical miles. Given the fact the ship is quite a bit higher than that, you might be able to see a ship about 10 nautical miles away, maybe. Now if they're doing 20 knots and we're doing 5 knots towards them, we've got a closing distance of 25 knots. At 25 knots, it's only going to take about 24 minutes from the time that a dot on the horizon that you can't see is going to be on top of you. So we do a lookout every 15 minutes to make sure that dot on the horizon doesn't land on top of us. Tonight's been uneventful and boring. Uneventful and boring is good. There's that ship I could just see on the horizon. You can see that it's also that red splodge is picked up on radar. The fact it looks like a little ship is AIS. If I now click on it, I can turn on the AIS information. See, it's doing 18 knots and it's going to cross or go past us in about 20 minutes within about 1.4 nautical miles. If I want more information, I can click on it, view AIS data, and it's telling us that it's heading to Brisbane. It's 200 metres in length, 36 metre beam, draft of 10 metres. It's not quite showing up on the screen. You might just see a little dot of light in the horizon, and that's the ship. That ship was basically just lights on the horizon 15 minutes ago, and now it's 1 or 2 minutes away from being alongside us, which means it could have been on top of us. And that's what it looks like at night. Ships are really hard to see at night, and they make absolutely no sound whatsoever. Slight change of plan. We've got 20 knots plus on the nose, so we can't motor into that. We're doing about 2 knots and be rough as guts. So I'm going to turn in, heading towards land, and we're going to make our way up the Hitchinbrook Channel and just seek refuge, whether it be for the night or whether it be for 4 or 5 days, whatever. But so we're now sailing very nicely on this angle. We should get to the entrance about 4 a.m.
We popped the anchor down at Hitchinbrook Channel. It's a lovely protected spot. And then we did a weather download to see what it would be like, how long we'd have to be in the channel for. And tragically it looked like today is the best day for the next 6-7 days. So pulled the anchor up again and we're about to head out through that horrible channel, which is really rough on the way up the coast. Hopefully it won't be quite as terrifying as it was on the way in. But anyway, we're going to stick our nose out and then we're going to literally punch through to Townsville. We won't get there till about 8 o'clock tonight though, so it's going to be a long day. A potentially hungry day, because I don't have any food pre-made. So we could be having chips and barbecue shapes for dinner.
That white lead light behind us is what's guiding us on the way out, not to mention looking at the chart plotter. But it's currently 3.6 metres and it's going to get shallower on the way out of here as the waves build up. How are you feeling about this, Denise?
Fun.
Bet someone is. This should be the roughest part, digging out the shallow bit. .5 under kill. We hugged that pink line. In fact, you can't even see it with our little black line that we've left over the top.
We're through.
And just when we need him, Porty's dying.
Well, we still have no paw motor, and we're doing about 3.5 knots into about 15 knots of breeze. Not getting anywhere very fast, and poor Jamie is still in that horrible little hole, having worked his way through quite a few fixes. But in actual fact, we thought it was a fuel filter to start with. He's just moved on to fuel filters now, which is the hardest thing to do while we're underway. So he's changed them. He's just priming the lines again, which takes an inordinate amount of time. Inordinate? That's not a word. Very long time. And normally drives him a little bit crazy, so he might be a bit hangry when he gets out of the hole.
Can you just keep the boat nice and still, please?
I'll just go and hold the boat still. What are you up to in there?
I'm replacing the large and the small fuel filters.
Having already
Tighten the salt water belt. He seems to be running well. The fuel filter wasn't due to be changed yet, but Denise just had a look at it, and there seems to be some black gunk, which is likely to be algae you get growing in the diesel bug. So we might need to up the amount of fuel doctor we put in.
We've had a few problems with Porty today. To be fair, actually, we've had one problem original with Porty today, in which he was just coughing and spluttering, which he hasn't done for a long time since we changed out all his fuel. And it sounded like classic fuel filter. We both agreed. So anyway, Jamie hopped in, because he's nice like that, and thought we'd start with tightening the V-belt, which slips all the time, and while he was in there, top up fuel. That, surprisingly enough, didn't fix the problem. Oil, not the fuel, oil. We did also top up the fuel though, separate story. So then it was still coughing and spluttering, so we went back to the original thought that it was a fuel filter. So reluctantly, Jamie got back in the engine bay and changed the fuel filter, which didn't fix the problem. So then we thought, well, maybe we should change the fine fuel filter as well. Probably should have done both at the same time. Went back in, changed the fine fuel filter, and undid a little screw, and while the fuel was on, caused the fuel to all the way drain back into the tank, which requires a lot of priming to get it back into the engine, which caused an airlock. So that didn't seem to fix the problem either. So then Jamie went back into the engine bay, 4th time, and we fixed the priming issue by running the engine while Jamie primed it, got all the air out. That caused the V-belt to slip and catch on fire. So the original V-belt, which had nothing wrong with it, slipped, caught on fire, which we've now changed as well. Poor Jamie's been in the engine for about 3 hours, I reckon. One beer's not going to do it.
Well, today didn't really go as planned. We should have been in Townsville hours and hours and hours ago. We've still got a couple of hours to go, and it's 20 to 10 at night. The final straw really was we got a blockage in the salt water intake, so it means no water's cooling the engine, so we've had to shut down the port engine. So that's hampered our speed to get in. So the last hurdle when we get there in a couple of hours is we need to get into a marina berth that we're not familiar with on one engine.
Jamie, so for your last trick today, you can do a reverse double somersault with a pike.
And as you can tell from the way we're dressed, it's really cold. So we're going to buy some thermals. Who would have thought you'd be buying thermals in the tropics? But yeah, it's probably, I don't know, it's probably about 14, 15 degrees. But it's the wind chill factor. And finally, we made it. It is 5 past midnight, and we're going to bed. On the next adventure with Lukimyu, we've certainly got some solid wind at the moment. 22 knots, we're doing 8. And this is our vista for the evening. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe and share it with your friends.